Hey guys, welcome back to Reading Your Bible in a Year. My name is Logan, and this year I'm reading through my entire Bible with you in hopes that we can grow in our love of God together. Today we're reading through the final 3 chapters of all the names in the book of Chronicles. And if you've gotten to this point, then congratulations, but you're probably feeling a little bit overwhelmed, a little bit like, man, I was reading along and then all of a sudden it went this way and then it goes this way. But remember, this part of the Bible, or the Bible in general, was not written specifically for you living in the 2,000 years after Christ period. It was written for people during this time period. So who was the book of Chronicles written to, and how can we continue to learn from that? Well, remember that the book of Chronicles was actually written at the end of the Old Testament, what we consider it. It was probably written around 200 years after the people return from exile. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, because this is your first time reading through the Bible, then God promises a group of people called the Israelites this land. And they go in and conquer it. Even though the enemies were bigger and stronger and had more people than them, they were able to conquer this land. But immediately when they start living in it, they pretty much turn away from God and start doing their own things. As it says in the book of Judges, in those times there was no king, and everyone did as they saw fit. So God, over generations, he decides that he is going to strip them of this promised land, and he sends them into exile. Well, after they've been exiled for decades, God restores them to the promised land, and they rebuild the temple. And this was a prophetic time. It means that it was actually prophesied about. So the people thought that during this time, the Messiah would come back. But as we see in Ezra, Nehemiah, and other prophets, the people, even after the second exile, they were not, even after they came back from exile, they were not living for God. They were living under their own ways. And they're like, where's this Messiah that we were promised? So the book of Chronicles, it's setting up the Messiah. It's setting up what's going to come next. And this long list of names was very important for the people then, especially after they came back from exile. It actually says this at the beginning of chapter 9. So Israel was listed in the genealogical records in the book of the kings of Israel. So all of this is really there to track one man. It's to track the Messiah who is to come. And when you actually map out all of the names that were listed here, here's a picture of the map. I didn't make this, but it's an incredible tool. I'll leave it in the description of this video. It really helps you get a better understanding of, oh, wow. So there are times that it starts talking and then it just randomly kind of puts family names in here. And it feels like a maze. I mean, you're walking this way down the path of Benjamin and you're getting deep through all these names, and then it just stops. And then you're walking through Judah, the line of the kings, then you go through David and you go through all these people, and then it just stops. This is a maze that in the book of Chronicles actually doesn't have an exit. It doesn't have an end. And we get the end in the book of Luke and the book of Matthew. They actually pick up on this list of names. So that's why it's so important, because this list of names proves who Jesus is going. It proves where Jesus actually came from. And the Messiah has to come from this family that's listed here in the Bible. That's what's so cool, is that generations before the Messiah came, his lineage was already being recorded. Anyways, I hope this helps you get a little bit more understanding that, hey, you're not supposed to understand this fully the first time you read it through. In fact, I would challenge you to say we should never fully understand the Bible, because then what's the purpose of reading it further? It's supposed to be this big, daunting thing, but also an incredible treasure that brings us closer to God. So I hope this helps you build your faith. If you want to continue to read the Bible with me, then in the description of this video, there's a playlist of all the videos I've done on this topic, as well as the actual Bible plan that I'm reading. And I'll see you back here tomorrow.